Okay, November 1st, 2024, a new moon in Scorpio. If you were hoping for more treats this Halloween season and less tricks, then you might want to stay till the end where I'm going to reveal a very helpful kite pattern this new moon that has the potential to lift us into new heights. Happy Halloween, everyone, and for those of you who observe Samhain, I hope you're having a magical Samhain season. Okay, so this is a very fortuitous new moon because it's been said by ancient cultures that the Samhain season, the Halloween season, is a time of year where the veil between the physical world and the spiritual world becomes thinner. And it's also very interesting that this new moon is in Scorpio because the Scorpio energy very much is associated to the kind of, I guess you could say, flavor of the Halloween season. Scorpio is associated with magic, the subconscious, the somewhat the underworld. It's associated with the phoenix, with death and rebirth, which death and rebirth is also associated with magic. So it's very interesting that we have a sign and an energy that is so aligned with the themes of this particular season. It's at 9 degrees in Scorpio. The sun and the moon are obviously conjunct because that's what happens every new moon. And the number 9 is also a liminal space where we are at the end of a phase. We have completed a cycle. And to some degrees, that's kind of what happens here during the Halloween season as well, where the veil is said to become thinner and we have the chance to prepare for the wrappings up that happens during Christmas, during the end of the year, Yule, for those of us who observe Yule. And we're able to take a look and take stock. This would be the time where the ancient folks would take harvest. You know, they would have a chance to take a look at what they had already harvested and to have fires and to have celebrations and also to revere those who have passed on and to bless them and ask for their blessings in return. And so with death, healing, and transformation as being an overall theme, we're going to see here in a second that this theme of death, birth, and transformation, death, birth, death, healing, and rebirth, that this is a powerful theme that is repeated in a variety of different ways. So let's take a look here. So we have the 9 degrees in Scorpio, the sun and moon. And then that trines, the first trine that it has is Saturn at 12 degrees in Pisces. So if Scorpio wasn't magical enough on its own, we have Pisces that comes in and makes it and sprinkles creativity, magic dust on the entire scenario. Because Pisces is also an incredibly a spiritual sign that is also associated with the space between the worlds, the space between what we experience in our physical realm and what is known as either the astral realm or the spiritual realm on the other side, the veil. So, and it's interesting that it's Saturn that's at 12 degrees. So Saturn is like the kind of the opposite of Pisces. It's not concerned with the mystical or the spiritual, the undefined. Saturn is very concrete. It is associated with structure and time and karma, cause and effect. It's like the no-nonsense parent figure who comes in and makes sure that we are cleaning our room and eating our vegetables. Like that's Saturn's energy. And so when we have the combination of Saturn trining the sun and the moon in Scorpio, and Saturn itself is in this Piscean kind of energy of spirituality and the undefined, this brings a very interesting kind of mix that allows us to conceptualize how we might redefine our structures. So, you know, Pisces is going to allow us to have spiritual downloads to this new moon, our intuition is going to be on overdrive. So if you were looking for aha moments, if you have been feeling like your creativity has been kind of like in a lull lately, This new moon absolutely has the ability to like get us out of those kind of ruts. And it also has to do with karma, which is interesting. So it's like cause and effect. And so this new moon, and this will come up again when we talk about some of these other alignments, this new moon is going to allow us to take stock, just like the ancients would take stock of the harvest. We're going to take a look at what have we harvested in our life, not just this year, but really I would say that I think that we're going to be taking stock of like since like because Pluto is going to be transiting very soon into Aquarius. I think we're going to be taking a look at the last decade or so and saying like, where have I been? Where do I want to go? And what patterns need to shift in order for me to have the kind of freedom, support, and resources necessary for me to get to where I want to go. So even though Pisces and Scorpio by themselves aren't the most like I guess linear kind of as far as strategic and linear kind of energies, Saturn comes in and does bring in that kind of energy. So I think that this is a very prime opportunity because we have all this heightened intuition, we have all of this like big picture thinking, and thinking outside of the box, and asking for intuitive downloads and getting these like synchronicities. And then we're able to take that information and say, okay, how can I practically apply it? How can I take this aha and really like run with it so that whatever it is that needs to die off so that we can be reborn in a way that we would prefer, so that we can do that. Also, what's interesting too is like we have 9 degrees in Scorpio, which is the sun and the moon, and then 12 degrees in Pisces. So Pisces itself is very spiritual, but 1 + 2 = 3 in numerology, and 3 has been a sacred number for pretty much all spiritual, magical traditions throughout time. It's the sacred trinity, it's the triple moon goddess. Like 3 is a sacred number, and it has to do also with the life, death, and rebirth kind of cycle of spiritual connection. And I always look also at 3 as creating new structures as well, because it's associated with the pyramid. And the pyramid is the most stable of all of the three-dimensional structures because of how wide the base is and how small the top of the structure is. And so to me, I also look at it as a builder number, even though usually that's associated with number 11 and numbers that are associated with that. But I look at 3 as also being a type of number that allows us to rebuild structures. So if you're feeling like your life needs a makeover, like this is going to give you the palette this is going to give you the ability to put together the palette that you need in order to repaint, to restructure, to reorganize, to recreate that spiritual makeover. It's actually a very exciting time, even though the death, rebirth, and transformation process itself can be really edgy. But here's the thing is that what I've been hearing and what I've been experiencing with the folks that I've been speaking with and a lot of folks that I've been working with is, things have been edgy for a minute, like really for the last 4 years. So like if it's going to be edgy, we might as well take that edge and figure out what is it that we need to prune. I mean, if it's going to be edgy no matter what, we might as well make the most of it. And this new moon allows us to take some like a breath of fresh air into taking a look at our situations with new perspective. So this is also going to be really great for anybody that is in the creative type of career, or you have a lot of creative pursuits. So like artists, designers, writers, people who work like in theater, music, any kind of creative pursuits or your creative career, especially if you make money off your creativity, this new moon has the potential to help you conceive of new ideas of how you might be able to either expand on that ability to create a livelihood from that creativity, or it has the ability to also like take a look and see what is it that we might need to really focus on if we have the tendency to think too broadly, to really focus on and prioritize which projects our creative energy really needs to prioritize. Look, and then we also have a grand trine with the North Node in Aries and Mars in Cancer and Mercury in Scorpio. So North Node is in Aries at 4 degrees, Mars is in Cancer at 29 degrees, and then we have Mercury in Scorpio that is at 28 degrees. And this Mercury in Scorpio is going to play a really big role here in a second when I start talking about the kite, which I'll talk about here in a moment. And so the North Node in Aries, North Node has been in Aries since July of 2023, if I remember right. And this North Node in Aries, South Node in Libra kind of tension that we've been working with since then has been like this continuous like peeling back the layers, and the me versus we kind of thing is like, how have I been like relinquishing my own personal power, or perhaps like over giving, people pleasing, martyrdom, or perhaps even playing the victim. Like it's been this like reanalyzing of what do I need as an individual, and how does the collective support me in that or not, and does my community, whether or not it's my close friends, my family, the neighborhood that I live in, the job that I'm at, the groups or organizations that I'm affiliated with, all of the communities that we're associated with really have gotten an overhaul since July of 2023. And that is that North Node in Aries, where we're being asked to reassess how we might be compromising our own personal sovereignty, and what do we need to do to take it back. And so that, and a trine is a helpful configuration. So this is something that is a harmonious, supportive kind of configuration. It's not the tension that's needed in order to move forward, but it's what's going to support us in whatever decisions that we're making. And then what's interesting is that it's trining Mars in Cancer. Mars isn't so happy in Cancer. It is the opposite of Mars's energy. Cancer is like the mama energy. It is about nurturing. It's about home. It's about hearth. It's about emotions and comfort. And Mars is the soldier. It can be aggressive at times. It's about passion. It's about creativity. It's about gusto and charisma and confidence and, go get 'em tiger kind of energy. So what's interesting is that what I'm seeing as with this trine is that Mars is in Cancer, is at it even though it's not necessarily happy there, it's taking the aha moments that we have about our own personal sovereignty. And Mercury in Scorpio at 28 degrees, 2 + 8 = 10, which is a number that has to do around like the liminal space between what we've left behind and where we want to go. So 1 + 0, it goes down to 1. So that is about our own personal self, and 0 is the cosmic egg. So 10 in numerology is, I've always looked at it as that as a liminal space between the old cycle and the new cycle. And so, and Mercury has to do with how we understand things. So it's not just communication, it's also our perspective and how we're processing data. So what I see between these three here is that Scorpio is talking to the North Node. The North Node has had a lot to say over the last, like, I guess, like 18 months. And it's saying, okay, like, we've taken stock. We know what it is that we need to do, and how do I take action in order to change the structures so that my structures around me, whether or not it's my community, my home, my job, how I organize my day, my time, how I take care of my health, whatever it might be, how can I transform these aspects that aren't necessarily helping me anymore, and how can I make them more supportive? And that's where the Cancer energy comes in. How do I make these structures actually nurturing to me? And even though Mars isn't necessarily happy in Cancer, Mars in Cancer will create enough of a fiery type of energy to get things going. So like if you think of it like Cancer's water, deep water, and Mars is fire. So what do you get? You get steam when you when you combine the two. And what can steam do? Steam can move a locomotive down the tracks. You know, you can move things with steam. You can purify things with steam. So this trine has this this way of helping us take our, again, just like we were mentioning before with Saturn, that how we can take these new perspectives and actually practically apply them. Scorpio's magic is taking the venom and making anti-venom. It's taking the poison and making the antidote. I mean, that's how they make anti-venom, is they take the venom from whatever it is they're making the anti-venom from, and then they process it in a certain way where then it becomes the anti-venom, it becomes the medicine. So we're in that liminal space where we can take anything that has felt like it's poisoned our spirit, I guess that would be pain, and we can give it purpose. We can decide how we want to use it. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the kite after I pull a couple of cards here. So we already took a look above at the astrology. Let's take a look and see what the cards might have to say. And then I have a feeling that whatever it is that they have to say will give us some additional perspective on what this kite has to say too, because it's exciting. All right, so join me in just setting the general intention that whatever part of this message is pertinent to you and your life situations is going to really be highlighted to you. You're just going to know that that part is really for you. All right, how can we best utilize this new moon on November 1st, 2024 for our best and highest good? Right, so the very first card that comes up is the Knight of Wands. And there we go. So it's got like these shiny things on it that kind of create a little bit of a glare, but they are beautiful. And the Knight of Wands, what's coming to me around that is like Mars's energy, you know, Mars and Cancers, because the Knight of Wands, like, it's about fire. It's a soldier. It's associated with the fire element, and it's very much like about like gusto, just get in there, go get them, you know, do what it is that you need to do, go fight the good fight kind of thing. And what's the soldier is having to overcome is these two cards that came up together. And when cards come up together, I kind of look at them as like one card. And so it was Justice reversed and the Three of Swords. And this is definitely no coincidence, because the Justice reversed is probably what you may have already, like, even if you know nothing about the tarot, like having a reversal card of Justice is kind of self-explanatory. It's the lack thereof. It's injustice. And so there is some sort of injustice, either that we are seeing in the collective or that we have been experiencing, some way that has really, and I think for some of us, it might literally be legal issues. This could have to do with a divorce, a separation of like resources, or like a separation of partnership in some way. And the thing that the Knight needs in order to move on is to take his own power back from how that unjust situation is putting him in a place where he feels like he is a victim. So this kind of, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like, when we talk about victim mentality, I think sometimes it can really be like looked at as like, oh, poor me. But like it sometimes is a lot more subtle than that. It isn't just like loathing and wallowing in you know, whatever the situation was. It can also be like justified anger. And so, but the justified anger, even though it's justified, it still is creating a parasitic drain on the soldier's energy. It's still draining him of his vitality. It's like he's trying to move on, but with all of this energy going towards like trying to validate how he was, you know, like how he was hurt and how he was betrayed or whatever it might be. It's like trying to like move forward with a chain and ball and chain on his horse and perhaps on him. And so it makes it very, very difficult to move forward. And so what is needed is like, I know that a lot of folks like get very triggered over the word forgiveness, but the word forgiveness in this context isn't about condoning the uncondolable behavior. It's about saying, you know what, that wasn't okay. But despite the fact that that wasn't okay, I'm a survivor. I survived that. I'm going to pick up the pieces, and I'm not going to be held hostage to that toxic situation anymore. I'm going to move forward. That can also be another flavor of forgiveness. It can be just taking your power back and just saying, no, not anymore. Like, thou shalt not pass. No, like, moving on. And then that will open up the ability, because right now what that's doing is it's cutting us off from our creativity. So the Well card is a specific card in this deck. It's not a traditional tarot card, but this has to do around new creativity. And with it being reversed, it's saying that past situation and the hurts that we're holding on to, even if, regardless if they're something we have personally experienced or something that we're witnessing in the collective or in our community that is painful, it is enough to detach us from our creativity and our divine inspiration. And then and it's like almost like it repeats itself again. It's like the need to let go, because the Death card reversed is about the need to let go. Because it's reversed, it means that whatever it is that's needed to be let go, that there's a resistance to that, and it has to do with the need to validate our own pain. And the thing is that you don't need anybody to be sorry in order to know that your hurt is valid and justified, that your feelings matter. You don't need permission from anyone else to tell you that you know, that you have the right to feel the way that you feel, and that indeed, like, whatever it is that's happening isn't justifiable and it isn't condonable. So like, you don't need that permission. You don't need even them to be sorry. You're a sovereign individual, and you can just decide to make a plan to walk away. Or it sounds like here, with all of this this energy around the need to let go and the resistance to letting go, most likely it's like the plan is already there. It's probably been knocking at your door for a while, and all you have to do is open the door and take the first step. Like, you're ready, because once we let go, the summary card is joy. This is the Ace of Cups, and you've got the bird up here. It's like freedom, it's space, it's like, and what's funny is, like, you know, lifting us to new heights. That's the kite. The kite that is here is between that trine that we just talked about. That is with the North Node in Aries, and Mercury in Scorpio, and Mars in Cancer. And then we also have the moon, Mercury and the North Node. They are in a harmonious state with Pluto, And Pluto then is in opposition with Mars at 69 degrees. So it creates what looks like a kite in the sky. And you have the 1 point of tension that's between Pluto and Mars. And that's okay, because you have this tension that allows for enough friction to get things going. And then everything else is supporting us overcoming that. So what a kite represents is, it's like, if it really represents cause and effect. If you do this, then the payoff is going to be like tenfold. So the tricky part here is Pluto is about death and rebirth. We had the death card come up, right? And the resistance to that, and it would be resistance because we have this this opposition between death and rebirth of Pluto and Mars and in Cancer at 29 degrees. So what I'm seeing here is that a lot of the tension might be coming from the fact that what we might be asked to be shifting, what we may know already needs to shift, is potentially going to change how we live or our relationships with those closest to us, because Cancer is about home and family. And so this might be moving to a new location. This could be taking a new job or creating a new career, or even a side career that then changes how you structure your life in order to fit those creative pursuits in. It could be ending certain relationships or partnerships, both professionally as well as personally. That whatever it is that is stifling our creativity and stifling, we know is keeping us back, is the very thing that is needed to either transform or die off. Those are pretty much the two options when you've got Pluto in the mix. And it's in Capricorn at 29 degrees. And Capricorn is about restructuring. It's about and it's also about overcoming obstacles that seem impossible. They seem like you can't overcome them. And it's about that billy goat that, does what's seemingly impossible, jumping from one boulder to another. So you have Pluto and Capricorn. It's asking us to restructure. And then what it's asking us to restructure is talking to Mars in Cancer. And Mars is like, and it's asking Mars, like, it's giving the soldier of Mars its marching orders, and it's just like, this is what needs to go, and it's going to transform our livelihood and or the way we live. And so because it has such a personal effect on us, it can make it even more difficult to do the thing, because it's a very personal outcome. But I mean, what everything is saying, both the astrology as well as the cards, is like it's the toll that is needed in order to lift us up to new heights. So they say that that the word sacrifice comes from, I think it's a Latin word that means to make sacred. So that's definitely would align with taking pain and making it into purpose, is that when we take whatever is not working, whatever is dysfunctional, whatever is causing us dis-ease, we can then take that venom and then we can give it some sort of purpose, where it's like, not anymore, not today. I'm moving on, I'm cutting the shackles, and then I'm going to take whatever lessons are there, and I'm going to repurpose them so that for my greater good, for my future self, whether or not that's heightened discernment, whether or not that's making more time for myself or better boundaries, whatever that might be. I get to take that, and I get to decide what is the treasures and what it is that needs to be composted. Notice I didn't say trash, because it isn't about amputating these parts of ourselves and then just relegating them into the void of like the cosmic disposal bin of, like, that shouldn't be, those are parts of me that shouldn't exist. That's judgment, and it is not, and it's not healing. It gives us a way of like amputating parts of our soul, and shamans call that soul loss. So if we want to move forward, it's not about just, trashing these parts of ourselves. It's about like composting them and allowing them to become the new medium for which we plant our seeds, and the outcome is joy. All right, so have a very magical Halloween. If you found this video entertaining or helpful in any way, please hit that thumbs up, subscribe, follow button, the bell icon, all those things. It really helps to appease the algorithm gods so that they know to refer this to other people who are looking for some information on what's going on above and how it affects us below. So I hope that you have a magical Halloween, Samhain season, and I'll see you back here in a couple weeks where we will take a look at what the next full moon has to offer. All right, folks, many blessings. Bye-bye.